Hello and welcome. It's a good day to be on the farm. My name is Chuck, and this is Edgewater, episode 8. And we are finally ready to do some field work. That's right, the harvest is done, winter is coming, it is September, and unfortunately, according to this map, the only thing I can plant right now is wheat, grass, and oilseed radish. That my planter can do, that is. So that's what we're going to do is start with some wheat on this field. You can see off to the left over this river is our field 4, which we just harvested with the wheat. We do have some straw sitting out there, but we will address that in a little bit. And then field 40 down there to the south is also ours. It's cultivated um, and weeded. No, this is still, the weeds are still on this one. It's cultivated, but it's already fertilized. So this planter has 2,400 liters of fertilizer in it, and yeah, so we are going to do this field first. Let me get back down to here. So here's field 41. I wanted to show you. So this one is already double fertilized, so we're going to use all the fertilizer that we have here on field 41, and then we'll be able to plant field 40, which is also cultivated, and we don't need fertilizer for that, which is good because we only have $2,000 to our name, and we have a tiny little microloan just to pay for the sprayer to clean off our implements. But then we will at some point in time need to sell off the flax over the winter and possibly the peas as well, and then use that money to buy lime for fields 4 and 19 so we can cultivate them and turn them over. So this is an interesting field. I've never obviously worked it yet because we just bought it at the beginning of the series. Um, there's no way to do like a straight line. I could do a really big diagonal from down here all the way up to here, but I don't want to mess with that. So I think the best way for me to do this is to do a north and south pass here and then break it into chunks. Do this little toe part first, do this part over here second, come up here, cut this off third, do a chunk down here, and then kind of work our way back to the entrance. And that's how I think an actual farmer would approach a field like this as well, because they would not want to drive over where they have just planted any more than they need to. So I'm kind of just trying to see if I can get a good run at it in our planter here. I can back up a little bit more. And again, I'm still going to use my little compass in the lower left-hand corner because this is on console. I don't have course play or anything like that to help keep my line straight. So I basically just look at my compass. Right now it's at 180 degrees. I know I'm heading straight south. And I'm going to leave a little bit around the edge because I also want to try to plant this like a farmer would, where he would do the headland last. So I'm going to just kind of do my swaths up and down and break it into sections and kind of go from there. And I just want to confirm that is the wheat that we are on. Let me just look at the calendar. Yes, that is the wheat icon. Yeah, look, September is green for planting, but nothing else can plant in September except for grass and oilseed radish, which I'm not prepared to do. Maybe it would have been smart to do oilseed here and then cultivate it in over the winter, but I want to get a wheat field going for the next round. So I think this is what we're going to do. And then lastly, since we're in here, we had turned the day time to real time when we were harvesting that one field really late because I didn't realize I want to do like a times 3 and just see where that gets us. So I'm turning it back up to times 3. I forgot to do that when we were harvesting the wheat before. But anyway, so we are going to lower this. We are going to turn it on. And I am going to extend our marker. And we will see how well this goes. So I'm trying to stay right on 180 or thereabouts. And I could stop here and do some east to west, but I think this is just probably the easiest, is to break it into sections like this and then work our way around. And then we'll do a headland obviously at the end to kind of wrap everything up. And with these ditches in here, it's going to be kind of hard to turn around as well. So let me, and we'll switch our marker. Yeah, See, turning around is already kind of a pain. Maybe I should do 2 headlands at the end. We'll have to see how that goes. Get this lined up like so. I'm going to back up again because I want to get this straight. And something like that. And now we're obviously looking for 0 on the compass. 359, 0.1. 359 point whatever. I'd rather overlap a little on the 359 side than on the 0.1 side because we can fix that in the other row. And yeah, I think we went a little bit too close to the edge. We might need to do 2 headlands here just for turning around. So I'm going to stop a little bit earlier. Lift that up and pull in our arm. So let's take a look at our map. So boom, there is we're kind of breaking the field up. We're going to come down and get this section done first. Then we'll do north and south for the rest of this section. And we'll just kind of work our way back. So section 1, 2, we'll do a long line this way, and then 3 will be down here, 4 here, and then 5 at the end is my plan. And we'll see how quickly we run through everything. So that's the plan. We'll see how long this takes me. I'm guessing about an hour and a half IRL, give or take. So let's just see if we mark it here. It's going to kind of defeat the point of doing a headland on that part, but that's okay. So let's do our marker and then our marker back. And we'll lower this down. All right, so again, I probably won't make you watch an hour and a half of me cultivating this, or excuse me, planting this. I am excited about doing this interestingly shaped field, and we'll see kind of how it all shakes together as we progress. But obviously, there's not a lot to say as I'm doing these rows. So let me pull this back out. So I was going to talk a little bit about spring training. I'm a big baseball fan, as if you probably know if you've been following the channel. And before I do that, though, because I keep forgetting, I heard something recently that I think makes a lot of sense, which is that I need to ask you guys to hit that like button and subscribe earlier in my videos. I usually do it at the end, but I've been looking at my stats, and I can tell you not very many people watch to the end, which is fine. These are long videos. So I'm trying to ask earlier. So if you guys would please be so kind as to hit that like button, drop a comment, and subscribe if you haven't. That goes a long way to helping the visibility of my channel, and that helps me keep making videos like this. So I really appreciate those of you who are doing that. All right, so back to baseball. I love baseball. March comes around every year, and I get super excited about baseball and following my teams, and I do play fantasy baseball, so I get excited about that as well. And so I've been watching some spring training games, and I'm a Dodgers fan, go Dodgers, and have been since about 2011, 2012, back in the Matt Kemp, Chad Billingsley, and even Ted Lilly was a pitcher at the time there. And Andre Ethier, of course, are some of my classic favorite Dodgers. But obviously the team wasn't very good back then. But that was the very beginning of this long run we've been on where we won the division 9 out of the last 10 years. Of course, lost it 2 years ago to the Giants. We won 107 games and they won 108, or we won 106 and they won 107. I can't remember exactly what happened that year, but so it's not like we didn't even have a good year that year. But in that time, we've only got one World Series, and that's okay. But for the money we're spending, the fans are expecting a little bit more, and I think that the players are too a little bit. I'm glad that Justin Turner got to see one World Series as a Dodger before he did not get signed again. He signed a nice team-friendly deal for 2 years for him to stay on and be a nice veteran presence, and I think he was a team captain even. But this year he's back in Boston, And he's actually in Boston with Kike Hernandez, who, um, oh no, oh no, that messed up my plant, didn't it? So you got to be careful. We got to pick it up before we switch those, before we switch that arm. Interesting. Good to know. Um, anyway, so, Kike Hernandez is still in Boston. He's been doing well for them. Um, we sent a young player there too, whose name is escaping. Alex Verdugo went to Boston as well. But now Justin Turner's with them, and so is Kenley Jansen. His contract with the Braves is over, and now Kenley is working with um, the Red Sox. So we'll see how that goes. The Red Sox weren't very good last year. I think they'll be better this year, but that's probably just my Dodger bias, because now they have Dodger players on there. And anyway, but what I really wanted to talk about was I watched a spring training game this morning when I was recording the last episode, and then part of this episode. Is that two? Now we can do this. Um, that Clayton Kershaw's spring debut, and Kersh did really well for us last year, um, which I think he's done 15 seasons now. I think it's 15 seasons he's done. And he started 22 games last year, and went 12-3, and had like the third lowest ERA in the National League. So, I mean, Kershaw is still rocking it, and he's still signing one-year team-friendly deals, which I hope he does forever, because I want him to retire a Dodger, as does every Dodger fan out there. But we will see how that all comes about. I mean, he's got to do what's right for him and his family, so totally understand that. But at the same time, like, he is Dodgers to me. He's a big part of the reason I became a Dodgers fan in the first place, and I just really enjoy watching Kershaw pitch. So, anyway, just a little baseball update for you. I actually haven't drafted my fantasy team yet, so that's coming up here in a couple of weeks. And then I will let you guys know who I've got rocking my fantasy roster this year, and we will just continue that conversation from there. So, as you can see, I'm not using the arm to mark it anymore. It was really not that necessary on these short runs anyway. But I got that hole in the middle of the field where I took it back to a plowed state. That almost looks like a plowed state, not a cultivated state. Oh man, I did not lift that. Well, I fixed it. That was silly. I did not realize I had not lifted it, and I backed up, which you should never do with one of these planters. It will mess up all those little tines at the end that actually put the seeds in the ground. And I was turning around, and I covered up that spot that I mistake. So, what spot where you marked up the field in the middle? I don't see anything. That's right. I didn't mess anything up. Anyway, let me come over here and do an up and down strip over here, and then we'll look at the map, and then we'll go from there. So section 1 is complete, and I'm working on section 1.5. I don't even think this is part of a section. I guess this is technically section 2, where we drew that line. But this is what planting on a field like this is. It is lots of turning around, because this field is not square, and nothing that we do will make this any smoother, really. So this might as well just kind of see what we can get done. We'll catch that section when we come and do a headland, and we've lifted that up. So let's take a look at the map. So yeah, we are planted for the most part. We'll obviously do a headland around there. I suppose maybe we should do that right now and see what that looks like on the map, to see if we need to do more space or less. So I don't intend to always do the headland this early in the field, but I do want to see if we're getting close enough to the edges to get the things covered as we need to. So we'll do a quick headland on this little area of the field that we just planted and see how our coverage is, and that will kind of show us how the next section will look. So we're going to lift it up right there because we already planted that. Come over here, and then we'll drop the cedar back down. And this is the section I'm worried about down here. I think one row isn't going to be enough. And I think we're just going to let that tiny little bit that's covered in weeds in the corner continue to be covered in weeds, and it's not worth going back to plant. And then I'm a little worried, yep, we're going to have a little square or a triangle covered with weeds in there too. So our coverage is spotty at best. I mean, I think we're doing a pretty good job. This is a crazy looking field, but I think one headland here is doing enough to cover it, but we'll take a look at the map in a second and see how many spots I missed. Um, but I don't know that it's worth reseeding that entire area just to get a little triangle of coverage um, that probably won't yield very much in harvest time. So, all right, let's loop back over here. And then I'm going to lift this, turn off the harvester, or the planter, excuse me. We'll just jump out of our tractor and take a look at what we've done. So here's our area of the field. This all looks really good, actually. But here's a little triangle that we missed right there with a weed in it. And here is this little section we missed in the middle for that row. I don't mind that. This row is what bothers me, actually, where I missed an entire row there, and then this little section, and then this little part at the bottom. It is not worth coming back to do this. Hopefully when we weed it, we'll get rid of those weeds as well. I know our weeder only does small weeds, not large, but yeah, look at that coverage. It's all blue. It's all powder blue. They think we did a good job. The computer says we did a good job. I'm going to call that good. I don't think we need to go back and do any of that coverage. So as we discussed, this is section 1 of field 41. We kind of did this toe first, and then we're going to kind of work our way back, do this section, cut this off here, do a section at the bottom, and then we'll do this main part almost last, and then step 5 will just be covering the entrance where we got into the field. So anyway, I appreciate you guys hanging in there with me while we harvested this. I'm going to go ahead and cut to much later in this harvest, because I keep saying harvest. I'm going to cut much later into planting this field, because as I said, I think this is going to take me about 90 minutes IRL to get this done, and I won't make you watch me plant a field for 90 minutes. So I'll cut the video here, and I'll come back in a few minutes when I've got a lot more of this done. Thanks for watching.